Welcome back to Yakuza 5.
This is not true.
I will not lie, I just said that because that's what I'm playing right now.
Alright, that's fair.
I think it's very impressive that Yakuza 5 manages to have one of the best and worst driving mini games that I've ever played.
Yeah, I can't wait till you get to do the New Japan Pro Wrestling thing.
Yeah, I'm still on Kiryu right now, so
Oh, alright, that won't be for a while then.
yeah, cause like, cause like the thing is, like, Kiryu is a taxi driver in this game, okay? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you have two different kinds of taxi driving mini games. One where you have to drive around town and follow the rules of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Stop
I mean,
at red
everything.
lights,
You have to
yield
watch for
turns.
pedestrians, stop at a red light, make sure your blinker's on.
Yield to turns, yes sir.
And like, that town is just, like, I've never hated pedestrians so much. Probably because I myself am a pedestrian and not a driver. But dear God, that game makes me hate pedestrians.
It can make you feel really good about the type of pedestrian you are in real life.
However, it also has street racing in a taxi, and it controls like Daytona USA, and it's amazing. And it has fucking Initial D style Eurobeat music.
It's like you're in a McDonald's playhouse, like a giant one
Yeah,
that's
it
maybe
kinda
part of a
does.
fever dream.
It kind of does, but it at least comes with this absolute fucking bop of a jazz piece.
In junior high school when I was in
Pretty
the
great.
small jazz ensemble, we were doing the vocal scat unit, and like,
Scat!
yeah, and so our choir director was like, all right, go home and practice just like, vocal scatting for like 20 minutes or whatever, pick a song. And he's like, you can just type in on YouTube like blues riffs and, blues riffs in E or something. And then just like practice for 20 minutes. Not me. I used this song a lot to do it.
Oh,
Really?
sorry.
Yeah, because
That's cool.
because it's in B flat, and that's another common like jazz, very common like jazz like instrumental like scale that's used, or key signature rather. And I mean, it's at a nice BPM. It's not too fast, not too slow. The instruments aren't overbearing. It's a lot of piano, which is always good. And yeah, so yeah, I just did this and a couple other songs from like a couple other tracks, not from this game, but Act 1 at least of this, and then like just a couple other, I don't know, like jazz tunes from video games, because like my philosophy was if you use that like minimalist, key of E minor, really just like a piano and a stand-up bass and a pair of drums or set of drums for the rhythm, then like it's well and good and cool, and you can get a lot of leeway off of it because there's so much room to work with. But
Oh, I love that Eggman statue with the top hat.
he's
Listen.
pimping.
If there's ever one thing that's been consistent about Eggman, it's that he's been a showman.
Yeah. But my practice philosophy was, and I did this in percussion and stuff too, and like symphony as well, was, if I was ever to like practice improv with backing tracks, then like they had to be from something, because if you can fill in what you think is missing and it sounds good, then if you're given more room with something with like less of a guide, then you'll already be balling the fuck out. So anyway, that's why I use songs like this. Smash 4's Pilot Wings vocal is another one that I used. Yeah.
Alright, I wanted to say this while I had it, but Gabe had more to say than I thought he did, and I got hit in the process. But the yellow shield that you saw earlier is particularly notable because it is the most crucial shield in this game, actually. because when you use it, when you press the A button in mid-air, you home in on enemies to damage them without having to aim with this game's horrible depth perception. A homing attack, if you will.
Yeah, it is an attack that homes in.
And
interesting.
So yeah, it is the debut of what is going to become one of Sonic's most consistent attacks in 3D games to follow.
Yeah. The attack that homes is what it's called.
So yeah, there is significance to this. You know, for the longest time, I really did kind of call this game a spin-off just because it's so radically different. I feel like you can call it a mainline game anyway, just because, like, well, for one thing, it allows the Saturn to have a mainline Sonic game. Maybe we should get into that at some point in this commentary.
Oh.
You know, there's a lot of misconceptions about that game's development.
Look, man. Come on. It never got, you know...
Or, to be more specific, there is one very significant misconception about that game's development that a lot of, like, YouTube historians just completely seem to miss. Because there are a bunch of YouTubers who looked at a Wikipedia article and didn't look at it thoroughly either.
Should have gone to the cutting room floor for the whole game page that it has.
So, yeah, I'll get into that. I'll get into that now, okay? So, the Saturn was supposed to have a more proper 3D Sonic game. It's known as Sonic X-Treme. Right? Okay. Oh, hey, it's the end of Act 1. But I didn't get to the special stage yet. Better fix that. Oh, hey, rare use of the word Robotnik scene in-game. Probably because this game was developed by a Western team.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the thing, okay? Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, while developed by good chunks of its original staff, were developed at the American studio SEGA Technical Institute, STI for short. Q laugh track.
Yeah.
It stands for Standard Time Integration.
Yes. SEGA Technical Institute. This was a team that was supposed to be set up to have like Japanese and American dev teams to learn from each other, but like learn their different ways of development. But unfortunately, the ways that they worked were so radically different, and Yuji Naka was so much of a controlling asshole that they ended up not getting along, and it really, really hurt Sonic 2's development because of that. For the record, for those who don't know, which is very few of you, Yuji Naka is the producer of most of the earlier Sonic games, and also the lead programmer for the Genesis titles, and the one who, like, very significant for creating the game's physics engine, the true heart of its gameplay loop.
Cool.
And he as much of an asshole as he is, he does like deserve props for that. But yeah, he was like. Anyway, with Sonic 3, SEGA Technical Institute was split in two: a Japanese team and an American team. The Japanese developers exclusively worked on Sonic 3 instead of it being a collaboration thing like Sonic 2 was. While the Americans worked on Sonic Spinball, the pinball game for Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Fun fact about that game, by the way, it was developed in C, which the Genesis is not compatible with.
Funny.
I have no idea how they got it working, but...
Magic.
Anyway, after Sonic 3 finished development, level designer Hirokazu Yasuhara left Sega, and Naka returned to Japan, rejoined character designer and artist Naoto Oshima, and formed a Sonic team in an official capacity, and then started working on Nights into Dreams. Sega still had Sega Technical Institute on call for the next Sonic game for the Saturn. Here's the problem. The American devs at Sega Technical Institute weren't very good. They made a lot of garbage. They canceled more games than they finished. And the only thing of note that ever came out of them was Comic Zone. That's like the only decent game that they made. Sonic X-Treme was basically a tech demo for the Saturn with no actual scope.
Yeah.
They had two separate engines working on the game, one for levels and one for bosses, and they were just completely independent of each other. Just a lot of bullshit, okay? Now, there is a note on the Wikipedia article about the development of the game. Let me get it up to make sure that my information is 100% what the article says.
Oh, no, Spring Stadium. No, Act 2 is this goofy-ass fucking Who Framed Roger Rabbit soundtrack.
We went...
Dude,
I'm here now.
I love the...
I love how we went
the
from
fly
this,
whistle.
I love how we went from this jazzy casino piece to Welcome to the Circus.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Basically, the first half, I go into a casino. This half is when you're out $400.
Hey, so, is that, you know what, never mind. So anyway, I need to find it.
Finder.
Yeah, I need to use the Macintosh Finder.
Stop. Don't ever say that to me again.
All right.
She Mac on my Tosh till I find her.
All right. Jesus. Holy shit, Gabe.
Oh my god, Gabe, holy shit. Thanks, your neck.
Oh, who is he? Stop.
She back on my Tosh till
Oh, holy shit.
I'm gonna make a Discord server and invite you to it just so I can ban you for that one.
All right. So, at one point in the game's development, Sega of America's president, Bernie Stoller, provided the source code, the tools and source code for Nights into Dreams to help with the development. It is commonly stated in many YouTube videos that progress on the game was finally being made until Yuji Naka threw a hissy fit about them using it without his permission and threatening to leave the company. Which is the one thing that doomed the game's existence at all. Many YouTube documentaries say this. What actually happened, and I need to specify that this account comes from one of the developers, Mike Wallace, in an interview years later, that they were only working on the game with the Nights engine for 2 weeks before they were asked to stop using the engine. If you know anything about game development, you know that 2 weeks is not nearly enough time to make any significant progress in development. Like,
Yeah, that's like nothing.
you are just getting started after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, there's the homing shield again. So, that's particularly of note. Now, it's also noted that Wallace did not hear this directly from Naka. He heard from Sega of America president Bernie Stoller that Naka had threatened to leave Sega if it were used, but that's all that was. The devs dismissed this as speculation, but said that, if true, they understood Naka's interest in maintaining control over the Sonic Team technology and Sonic franchise. So it was a very civil thing. Wasn't entirely sure if it was true. Naka denies it, but he tends to be full of shit on a couple things. But the only other...
Couple things is generous.
Only other account of this, the only other, like, definite source of this that we have would have been from Bernie Stoller. And here's the thing. He's dead.
Yep.
Now,
They killed him.
Again. So, again. It was only 2 weeks of development, and both Naka and Stoller are kind of not exactly the most liked people within Sega. Like, Stoller mostly for basically ruining the already ruined, like, further ruining the already ruined Saturn in North America. Naka for just kind of being a controlling asshole. So, anyway, yeah, just wanted to get that clarification out of the way because this is a very common misconception that has actually colored the narrative to a dangerous amount. After a while, development got so bad, people kept leaving the company, and again, this game never had any scope to begin with. Like, even if that Knights Engine thing actually did go anywhere, I don't think it would have helped the game. I think the game was doomed before it even started development. But yeah, the game got canceled. The game was canceled, and to make up for it, Sonic 3D Blast was also made for Saturn in addition to the Genesis version. So that's where the importance of that goes into this.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's the end of my little development story and mild tirade on... Okay, there's a lot I can actually say. Here's the thing. I like how Tails and Knuckles are right next to each other in this stage. This is the only example of that.
They're homies.
Well, yes, they are. I mean, kind of.
Tails is trying to convince Knuckles to go all in, but Knuckles is being a little shy with his hand. However,
They're playing
what Knuckles
poker?
doesn't know. Yeah, however, what Knuckles doesn't know is that there are 2 queens on the river, and that he shouldn't fold. However, Knuckles, in his hubris, goes all in against somebody who has a king and a jack in his hand, sealing his fate.
Knuckles was completely unaware that Sonic always saves his royal flush for the very end.
Anyway, you may resume your...
Yeah, so I don't really want to get into more, but the thing is, there are so many misconceptions about the Sega Saturn's existence in North America. Many of which, and I'm going to drop another executive name there, are the result of a book called Console Wars that just has so many falsehoods due to its only real source being another former Sega of America president, Tom Kalinske, who has a reputation for exaggerating, if not flat out lying about his time at the company. But I don't really feel like getting into that right now.
All you need to know is that the Sega Saturn would have succeeded if it was called the Sega Jupiter.
Sega Jupiter was actually the name of a prototype for the Saturn that used cartridges instead of discs.
I totally 100% knew that, so what I meant to say was it would have succeeded if it was called the Sega...
Uranus.
I was gonna go with Mercury, but that works too.
I think Mercury was used as the code name for something else. Hang on, let me look into that.
If that's the case, in that case, Sega Venus.
There once was a woman from Venus.
I have not heard this now in a long time. I almost called it a nursery rhyme, but that is not at all what it is.
That is not a nursery rhyme. Nursery rhyme?
Nursery rhyme?
There once was a limerick.
Limerick, thank you.
There once was a woman from Venus who played the violin with her weenus.
Oh no!
The point on her elbow?
Yep.
Wait, that's not the one I knew.
No, it wasn't. I decided to use mind games
Give that
on you.
up.
Fair enough. Because the one I know is whose body was shaped like a penis.
See, here's the thing. Everyone knows just by hearing that the expectation is that the rhyme is going to be penis, so I subverted it.
Fair enough.
As
Better to
Gino Fratelli
subvert.
once said, I am going to drag a rusted scimitar through your weenus.
Subversive humor.
That was actually the same episode as Carrie's favorite joke.
Oh, Gino, it's a rectangle!
More excited than the actual line delivery.
That's the best joke.
Yep.
Just in general.
I knock on the wood, and
Knock
they
on
say,
wood?
"Yep, that's what they say," and I did it already. It's time for
Oh.
the boss.
I just heard the evil laugh.
Yeah, there's a.
You think Eggman would get tired of losing?
Well,
I mean, he's tenacious
Hey,
as nothing.
he's got what we alphas call grind set.
I'd actually
that's
call
true.
like he's one of the most active villains I've ever seen in a video game series because like in most video games like the main villain just kind of sits on his throne and lets his minions be the boss fights and everything. Eggman is every boss fight in Sonic games, barring a few exceptions where it's just big robots instead, but like almost every boss fight in Sonic games is actually Eggman himself, which is impressive. Anyway, to go down the list, the Mercury was the codename for the Game Gear. The Venus was the Sega Nomad, which was a portable Genesis. Mars was the 32X. Jupiter was the cartridge-based Saturn prototype. Saturn was the Saturn. Uranus was unused.
Gabe, you owe me an apology.
Here's the thing, too. According to the thing that I'm reading right here, it wasn't because of, according to what I'm reading here, it wasn't because of the whole Uranus thing, or flipping it around and it's Uranus. It wasn't because of any of that. It wasn't because of any euphemisms. Instead, apparently it was because it sounded like the Japanese phrase uranu, which means won't sell.
That's actually really funny. That's what it reminds me of that apocryphal tale that's like the Chevy Nova did really poorly in Latin America. Because Nova means don't go, or not doesn't go. It is wrong. That's not true. But that's funny that they didn't use Uranus because of that.
Anyway, to finish it up, the Neptune was an unreleased 32X Genesis combo unit. I wonder why it was unreleased. And Pluto was a different Saturn prototype that had a built-in modem.
That's cool.
Yep. Anyway, next time on Jinpro Commentaries, we connect to the internet in Sonic 3D Blast. Sonic 3D Blast cannot connect to the internet.
I'm ready.
You liar.